Hey guys, what's up? It's me, MC Matador here, and today I am bringing you the annual tradition for probably 3 or 4 years running now, my Six Flags 2020 predictions. Now, as a start, like I said, it's that time of year again. The rumor mill is churning at full strength, and anxious coaster enthusiasts everywhere are awaiting the joys, sorrows, and belly laughs that will come from this year's cringily announced rides from everyone's favorite amusement park chain, Six Flags. Like years past, I will be using observational studies, patterns, teasers, land management, and plain logic just to make inaccurate predictions about what Six Flags will get. Now keep in mind, if you're expecting coasters for everybody and flashy, wealthy, money's no object distribution of rides, I think you're out of reality, and I'm not that type of reality either. I'm very cut and dry. I don't expect the best for every park. And I'm only predicting 2 coasters this year, total. So, just a little bit of a spoiler there. So, we'll cover the parks from largest to smallest. A few of the parks I will also put up a runner-up bar, because there are some parks that are still not as clear as day. And then there's some parks where we have no idea what they're getting at all. And I will also say that the size of the park is not necessarily indicative of the year's investment. So expect some big parks to get some small things and whatnot. And with that said, let's start with the flagship park, Six Flags Magic Mountain. Now, this one I'm pegging a Zamperla Endeavor in a spruced up DC Plaza area. They haven't even finished their West Coast Racers 2019 edition, and it isn't slated to open until October at the earliest, more likely November or December. Thankfully, if this were Illinois, this would definitely be a 2020 ride, because our winters suck. But since this is Los Angeles, they can easily build into the late fall and winter. So, yeah. I'm thinking, like I said, they will focus on their DC Plaza area because in the past few years they've renovated a few of their areas. 2015, they did their Scream Punk area, so their steampunk themed area with Scream and Twisted Colossus. They did Metropolis Plaza in 2017 for the new Justice League ride, the Boardwalk in 2018 with Crazanity and their updated bumper car sandblasters. Then Adrenaline Alley supposed to be slated up next year, probably this fall, I don't know, which is going to have West Coast Racers and Apocalypse in their slingshot. So I think they're going to keep sprucing up that back of the park with their final area necessary, the DC Plaza, which would be near Batman and the ruins of Green Lantern, which I'll get more on that later. I think that since West Coast Racers isn't built and Six Flags Magic Mountain already has a lot on their plate, especially with 365-day operations, I think they'll take it small and put in a Zamperla Endeavor in the DC themed area in the former spot of Green Lantern themed to Harley Quinn or Catwoman, as well as generally touching up and renovating, maybe doing some new pavement for their DC Plaza area. Like I said, they can't put too much on their plate because they don't have a lot of progress on their 2019 editions. A few runner-ups would be, in that Green Lantern spot, would be a Fun Time Starflyer. If they were to put one in there, it probably would be one of the tallest in the world, hopefully, since Magic Mountain's got to have the biggest everything. Or a Larson Giga Super Loop, which would be the 100-foot or even larger Super Loop, since Magic Mountain, I believe, is one of the only Six Flags parks to never, ever get one. Moving on, we have Great Adventure, which I think is going to be the biggest addition of the year. I am thinking more along the lines of a Premier Rides launched racing coaster, a la West Coast Racers, because I think it looks better in their lineup. Kingda Ka is the only launch coaster in Six Flags Great Adventure, and I think that it would be really good to have some sort of in-between launch coaster, something that goes maybe 50 to 70 miles an hour. The other rumor would be racing our dueling RMC Raptors, which would probably work better for like a creature theme, kind of like the Jersey Devil, or dueling dragons or something like that. I don't know. I'm just ripping off another dueling thing that unfortunately is gone now. F. And the coaster in question is rumored to occupy either the Looney Tunes Seaport area, which I've never been to Great Adventure, but I've heard from some people that it's kind of run down, and I don't know if they have another kiddie area somewhere else in the park. I know they do have their Harley Quinn Crazy Train, which is their Zier Tivoli, or they will axe their Congo River Rapid rides. Either way, they're going to use either one of those places, maybe both of them, and they're going to use some of the trees behind both of those rides. I'm leaning more towards the Congo River Rapids leaving, because Clue 4 says where the rivers used to run, but they've dried up or something like that. I don't know Great Adventure maps that well, and I can't really Photoshop an image because I suck. So I think that I'm just going to take my word on it and think that Six Flags Great Adventure will get their first ground-up coaster since 2016, and their first original coaster in probably a decade. So, yeah. Or probably maybe even over a decade. So congrats to Great Adventure. You're going to get the biggest thing in the chain by far, and let's look forward to it not being pity, hopefully. I hope it doesn't suck. Moving on, we have Great America, my home park, my tried and true. Just, this thing is home for me. This year's set of teasers is definitely a lot more convoluted than last year's. The last year's set of teasers were pretty clear that they'd be getting some sort of fast accelerating launch coaster. But this year's set of teasers is very open-ended. They did it in multiple locations with no sense of pattern. They have a few numbers, particularly 23, 37, 3, and 86. I think that what they're going to do, which is my argument for the Giga Discovery rumor, is that they will remove the declining Buccaneer battle. They've been running less boats, less people have been going to ride it. It's just a lot of the water jets don't work, and it's one of those splash battle rides. And I think it's going to be axed for Giga Discovery, which fits really well, one of those 172-foot model stuff. Now, I will say that for people thinking it's going to be a water park expansion, Great America pulled this exact same thing 2 years earlier with storm-themed teasers in the area, for what ended up being Mardi Gras Hangover. Now, keep in mind, Mardi Gras Hangover was originally supposed to be named Hurricane Force 5 or something like that, but the name was rescinded for the announcement date because of the recent happenings of Hurricane Harvey days before the announcements. And Six Flags figured as correctly that it would have been in bad taste to name a ride Hurricane Force 5 in the wake of Hurricane Harvey. I think they're going to try and revive this trick because the 2019 hurricane season has been pretty quiet from my studies. And people love when these giant / Giga Discoveries go in. They're not for everyone. They're not family-friendly rides, so to say, but just anyone who even mildly seeks thrills will love riding these things. And just in general, they provide an excellent thrill experience that will keep the line churning for years to come. And I really wish I could make a future video, or like a separate video for Great America, but I'm going to stick with my explanation here. I will also have another note for the runner-ups for later in the episode, and I think I will discuss a video that could potentially talk about some windows and doors that can open once a Giga Discovery is replacing Buccaneer Battle. Some runner-ups would be a waterslide complex, to what other people are thinking, which is a decent option because Six Flags Great America has not updated their water park since 2011. It would be near Max Force's exit, if anything, which is the definite runner-up, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens even in the first place. A Funtime Starflyer, where Buccaneer Battle would be, a Camp Cartoon retheme or expansion, which is in the running for a good chunk of the early summer because Camp Cartoon is run down and pretty bad, to be honest, or RMC American Eagle just off of episode 2, it's episode 3 of the teasers. Episode 3 had them talking about National Roller Coaster Day in front of American Eagle, which people would think that it would be closed and they'd RMC it, which is like, no, that's not happening in your wildest dreams. As much as I want it to happen, it's not happening because I can't do crap with that ride. I can't even retrack it half the time. Meanwhile, at Over Georgia, we're going to be getting the second roller coaster and the last I predict of the 2020 season. A SNS 40 free spin, likely themed to Poison Ivy. Their Shoot the Chutes ride has been standing but not operating since last season and has been dying to be put out of its misery. And there's been a pretty cryptic set of teasers and weird visuals coming from Over Georgia, themed to Ivy and post-apocalyptic teasers and whatnot. This park's been long linked to a free spin, and free spins are often very good fits to put over Shoot the Chutes rides because you often have room for the entire long, narrow spot for the actual ride and decent area around it to put the queue. I also do want to say that this is going to, if they install this SNS 40 free spin, this will be their first ground up coaster in 9 years. Before anything between the last ground up coaster, Daredevil Dive, and this has just been Twisted Colossus. Or not Twisted Colossus, sorry, Twisted Cyclone, their RMC Georgia Cyclone conversion. A couple runner-ups would be an RMC Raptor in the spot, which I honestly prefer, but I don't think it's going to happen. The Raptor hasn't even been installed a second time by either of the major chains in America, or the Zamperla Endeavor, which I think is an up-and-coming attraction, but I think also the things aren't really lining up for an Endeavor at this time. Moving on to Six Flags Over Texas is probably one of the easiest ones of the year. We have leaked shipping records from overseas in a seaport. So we know that Over Texas is going to be replacing their Aquaman Shoot the Chutes ride that was damaged in the spring due to flooding, and putting in a Mack Rides Power Splash. This is probably the park, like I said, I'm most confident about predicting. This is almost a dead giveaway based off of things. And the ink's already set on page, so it's pretty much confirmed they'll be getting a Mack Rides Power Splash. I don't see what else they'd be doing with that closed spot and with other things like that. It's gonna be good. And it technically is a coaster, so it will be the first coaster since Joker for Six Flags Over Texas. So good on ya. Up next, we have Six Flags Fiesta Texas. This park, I want to iterate, is one of the main prototype parks. A lot of things that get put in this park are typically prototypes, especially in the past 5 years. In the past 5 years alone, they put in the park's first RMC Raptor and the park's first SNS 40 free spin, the latter of which went on to be one of the single most popular installations for Six Flags throughout the back half of this decade. And the current rumors is that they will be replacing their old slingshot ride. The current runner-up is a kind of a prototype Zamperla ride called the Nebulas, or the Nebula Z, whatever you want to call it. Now, Jeffrey Seibert, the park president, is a master of the tease. Main tease, it's very rare. There's not a single one like it west of the Mississippi, and in a good chunk of the more populous states east of the Mississippi. Illinois, Indiana, the Carolinas, and other things like that. They also have iterated that it's going to be a crazy-looking ride that has a steampunk theme, which can easily be done with the type of ride the Nebulas is, being themed to like steampunk airplanes or steampunk aircraft and with gears and stuff. I will say that their only Nebula Z in existence is at Coney Island in New York City, and Six Flags has worked quite a bit with Zamperla over this past decade, essentially. They've been even putting in stuff for the Kidsopolis areas. I think Six Flags Fiesta Texas will prototype the Nebula Z for possible future installations, and the space that would be removed from the slingshot would be plenty of room for the Nebula Z and its possible opening. I think it's also entirely possible to go with a different thing, but a lot of the people who are smart enough to put that stuff together rather than just me droning about other people's things would be, I think it's pretty wise to go with the Nebula Z, because I haven't found, and they haven't found, other things that would match the description as well, based off of logical clues and teasers. Moving on, we have Six Flags New England. They have also put up a teaser, just one, the number 252. A connection on Reddit that I found said that Action Comics number 252 was the debut comic of the modern iteration of Supergirl. And they do have an easily fixable redundancy in their lineup. No, not the boomerangs, they also have 2 freestyle Wipeout type of rides. The Chance Wipeout Kryptonite Collider is a much older and more inferior version, based off seating and running and stuff like that, of the Chance Freestyle Cyborg and their battle with the grid and all that. Kryptonite Collider will likely be removed for a Supergirl-themed Zamperla Endeavor for the 2020 season. We know that this would likely be called Supergirl because of the comic, as well as Supergirl Skyflyer has been added to Six Flags St. Louis, which obviously is a Endeavor themed to Supergirl, and Kryptonite Collider will be removed for the Supergirl thing. It also makes sense because the area in which Kryptonite Collider and Cyborg are both in the back area of the park, with a DC Comics theme, with things like Superman, Catwoman's Whip, and Gotham City Gauntlet. So there's plenty of stuff there. Moving on, we have Six Flags Mexico. Based off some sources, that Six Flags Mexico is in the process of demolishing an old show building that would perfectly fit a Zamperla Giant Discovery or even a Giga Discovery, one of the plus-size models. Six Flags Mexico has been a pretty popular choice for rapid expansion by corporate, and for a good reason, because Mexico City is one of the most populated cities in the Western Hemisphere, period. And even the world to a certain extent, rivaled only by like Tokyo and other cities like Beijing and other cities like that. Giant Discovery would be a perfect fit for the park, and like Six Flags Mexico has been rumored to get one ever since they started putting them in the park like the plague. Moving on, we have Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. This is one of the parks I never really ever get a firm grasp on. The park is pretty tight. The land is pretty tight. It's a very small area for the park to work on, and it's already pretty full, so they don't have much to work with. I'm imagining a small flat ride because they just got a SNS 40 free spin last year. And I can imagine things like a Zamperla Endeavor, or a Zamperla Disco, or a Larson Tilt-A-Whirl, or a Chance Freestyle going into the park. It can really be any small flat ride, and I genuinely don't have a clue based on what they're doing. The only thing they posted up was an image of a rattlesnake saying, or like with a yellow triangle with a rattlesnake in it, which was soon after taken down because people thought there were actual snakes in the park. The nerve of some people. Moving on, we have Six Flags America. Hold on. Yeah, that's right. They're getting a Zamperla Giant Discovery in the replacement of their Sky Coaster, one of those rides where you're in the bungee cord, you get pulled up and you soar across the sky in a sort of belly down position. Soil testing has already taken place in that old area, and the acreage of the testing very closely matches the footprint of its Zamperla Giant Discovery, and the teasing of the park, as well as some stats, perfectly indicates that it'll be one of the 150-foot models being named Harley Quinn's Spinsanity based off some of the language and font used during the thing. That and Six Flags America does not have a Harley Quinn themed ride yet. They have Joker, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman already covered, but they do not have Harley Quinn or other popular DC characters covered yet. Moving on, we have Six Flags St. Louis, one of the other parks that is very hard to get a grasp on, almost impossible to get a lead on most times. I think that they did tease something recently, like a couple days ago, saying the cat is almost out of the bag, announcement on August 29th. I'm thinking a small flat ride like a freestyle or a tilt-a-whirl named Catwoman's Whip. Their ceiling would be a free spin or a Giant Discovery, but we haven't seen a considerable enough clearing for me to get a lead on that. I think they're once again going to be a disappointment in terms of expansion, and I'm not seeing very much, even in their long-term future. Sorry, St. Louis. Love to get back to you one day, though. Up next is Six Flags Darien Lake. I put this more so last, because it's one of their expansion parks, and still pretty small and underdeveloped because Premier Rides left it for dead. And I think that they will take their Year 2 initiative to retheme their water park on property to Hurricane Harbor, and we'll give it a new slide complex or two. Maybe one of those catapult slides. I don't know what's in their water park, but I think they're going to get something. Something cool, something thrilling. Like I said, Premier Parks often left Six Flags Darien Lake neglected, and I really think that they should give this water park some love. I heard that they also did take out a slide a few years back that's still sitting in their boneyard, so it's just, they really should do something new for the water park. They can focus on the dry park again next year. They just put in a Starflyer, one of their biggest expansions of the decade, along with Tantrum in Premier Parks last year. So Darien Lake should take a focus on the water park, which hasn't been expanded for easily half a decade. And now their other expansion park, Frontier City, which I think they will be getting a Fun Time Starflyer. Probably, since they already put one in Darien Lake as the expansion park, and there's a sizable clearing big enough for support one, I think that this would be a great fit and a slam dunk for the lineup. I think that since Oklahoma's terrain is also very flat, and Frontier City doesn't have a very tall ride, at all. I don't think they have a single ride that goes over 150 feet. They can easily install one of these and market it as the tallest ride in Oklahoma, which would be a pretty good marketing stick. And since it's also in northeastern metropolitan Oklahoma City, Frontier City, I think it will provide amazing views of the surrounding area, which is something that the park would really benefit from. Could they go something else? Definitely. They could probably go. They can go for a giant discovery. They can go for another type of flat ride. I think Frontier City's in the lineup for something rather sizable if the city council will allow it. If the city council is pretty stern, like Six Flags Discovery Kingdoms, I'm not seeing much coming to this park. I don't know the relationship between Six Flags and the Oklahoma City Council of like legal stuff. I don't know. But I think Frontier City getting a Star Flyer would be an absolutely perfect fit for the park. Six Flags Great Escape, or just Great Escape, since they're not licensed through Six Flags directly, will get a dry park expansion, probably something small. They've rotated pretty much every year since like 2012, 2014 between water park and dry park expansions. They just got Bucket Blasters last year. They're Aqua Twist, and that was also a retheme of the water park to Hurricane Harbor from Splashwater Kingdom, and I think they will be putting in a small dry ride. Maybe a Zamperla Endeavor, or another Zamperla Flat Ride, maybe a Larson Tilt-A-Whirl, or maybe even a potential prototype. This park was the one to prototype the Chance Freestyle, which could very well be in year 3 of expansion come 2020. They were the first one to get one, then New England followed. Maybe they'll put in another one of their smaller parks, or even box it. So, Great Escape, I think, has potential, but nothing much. They're probably going to get something small. Whether or not they stick to the basics or prototype something is completely up to them. Moving on, we have the last park, and likely certainly least, La Ronde. This park is a mess, Green Lantern's a mess, and apparently, despite it closing and being standing but not operating for 2 years, we're not out of the woods with it yet. The ride is definitely not known for being good, Green Lantern, and La Ronde not being a very good park. I think they're going to relocate it. This park has been rumored for months now to relocate Green Lantern to La Ronde, and it was backed up even further when Six Flags Magic Mountain's park president said that that Green Lantern would be retracked and relocated to another park rather than opening up in Magic Mountain ever again. La Ronde just recently removed their Super Menage, Vekoma looping coaster, compact one at that. The fit in the land correspondence would be pretty valid, and unfortunately the memes have a good chance of coming true with this relocation. And the move would be justified in terms of an investment. Kinda. Oh, and let's talk about something not all other Six Flags attractions talk about. The Six Flags owned water parks. I know that the Wet and Wild parks in Houston and Phoenix both got something last year, if I remember correctly, that were announced closer to the winter rather than the main group. Magic Waters near Rockford, Illinois, has been teasing pretty hard, and I'm pretty sure we're expecting another teaser on Tuesday for what Magic Waters will get. And Magic Waters was also acquired after the 2019 announcement cycle. It was acquired more so in the late winter, early spring of 2019. So it did not have enough time to open up a new ride for 2019. That's why Magic Waters is almost certainly going to put in a new slide complex or something in 2020. The park wouldn't be teasing if that were the case. I do think that Six Flags can also put some love into Hurricane Harbor Concord in California and Whitewater Bay in Oklahoma City. That's probably where they're going to put a good chunk of their water park funds. I know things like Wet and Wild, both the Wet and Wild parks and Hurricane Harbor Oaxtepec, both got considerable expansions last year. Oaxtepec literally stealing one of Great Adventure's bigger slides. Oh well. So, I expect Six Flags to put some love into a couple, maybe not all of them, but a couple, at least one for sure, but likely a couple of their water park properties, especially the individually owned ones. Please make it happen. I'd love to see something come to Magic Waters because the lineup has been so dead for a while. So, that's about that. I hope you guys have enjoyed my Six Flags predictions. There were definitely a lot to talk about, and as Six Flags expands even further, there's going to be even more to talk about as time goes on. So if you guys have enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscription. Put your thoughts in the comments down below, especially because I love hearing what you guys think we will get, or what your other Six Flags home park will get. I hope you guys have a great insert unit of time here. I hope you're looking forward to the announcement as much as I am, and as always, I wish you guys peace.